a podcast all about growing your leadership and multiplying your influence in business, ministry, and life. Our mission is simple. We're just crazy about turning your potential into purpose and growing your influence. And now, your host, Obed Martinez.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Life and Leadership. It is Friday, and yes, you have made it. You conquered this week. And part of conquering this week is that we have been talking about the possibility thinker this entire week. I started talking to you Monday about the possibility leader, and then this past Wednesday, I talked to you about the possibility thinker. And if you have not heard him yet, then you can go to our archives at the Obed Martinez Company and get it on our pages and platforms when it comes to our podcast. Today, I want to end it by talking to you about the possibility plan. What good is it to be a possibility leader, to have possibility thinking, if you don't have a plan to execute it? I truly believe that the possibilities are numerous once we decide to act and not react. Think about your life just for a moment. Pause for a second and ask yourself, how many times have I found myself in a place reacting? Most of us who don't have a plan that we are living by every single day are going to live lives of reaction, which means that if you're living lives of reaction, you're living life in defense instead of offense. In other words, you're more about protecting than you actually are possessing. I get the opportunity to talk to leaders all the time, and I can tell you what separates those from good to those who are great are those who control what their actions are. In other words, they're intentional about a plan that they have placed in their life and making sure they're committed to executing it. Proverbs says that God has a plan for your life. But the Bible also says that it is up to us to bring a plan to God. Then He will direct our steps. I truly believe that you'll never get to stepping until you actually have a real plan for your life. So I want to talk to you over the next few minutes and really just kind of have this conversation with you about creating a possibility plan for your life. The first thing you have to do is, number one, you got to change your focus. You got to change your focus. And the reason why you need to change your focus is that most of our focus is reactionary. Most of our focus is based on distractions that basically cause diversions. You know, when you think about Peter walked on water. He was doing the impossible. He turned, with God's help, a impossible situation to something that became possible. Peter gets distracted by the winds and then starts diverting in another direction. He was walking on water, then he started sinking in the water. It all began with distraction. Why? Distraction always creates diversion. I'm going to let you think about that for a moment. Because if you don't have the right kind of focus or change your focus, you're never, ever going to do the impossible. 5 ways you can change your focus today. Number 1 is create moments to remind yourself of your bigger purpose. Every day you got to wake up. Create that moment and remind yourself, I'm made for this day. I'm bigger than anything that comes my way. Think about it. The Bible says that God has given every person a measure of faith. And giving that measure of faith, all of us, in some sense, go through trials and tribulations, which the Bible tells us that God already called us an overcomer. God already deemed us more powerful than what's coming our way. He has said you've been made more than a conqueror. And so what God does is that He weighs your problems and determines it by your measure of faith. He cannot allow a problem that's bigger than your measure of faith. This is why as you grow as believers, man, when I first got saved, my problems weren't nearly as big as they are today. Why is that? Because the measure of faith in my life is bigger today. So every time I'm facing a problem, every time I see a mountain and it seems impossible, I have to create that moment, stop myself for that moment and say, Obed, you're made for this moment. Matter of fact, you're bigger than this moment. The next thing you need to ask is you need to ask yourself, who do I want to be more often than what do I want to do? I'm going to say that one more time. How do I start focused today? I ask myself, who do I want to be more often than I ask myself, what do I want to do? See, if you don't know what you want to be, you're going to constantly be asking yourself, what am I supposed to do? When you know who you are, it creates a greater focus and less distractions and diversions in your life. The third thing is that you got to savor small wins and progress. Listen, big victories come with small ones at first. You're not going to kill a giant. You're not going to conquer a mountain until you first learn how to conquer a bear like David, kill a lion like David. David had all these little small victories before he had the giant one. Friends, celebrate your small victories. Start to remind yourself of those small victories. It builds faith and confidence in you to face the giants that are ahead of you. The next is practice self-compassion and loving kindness for yourself. Listen, it's easy to be compassionate for other people. It's easy to be kind to other people, but let's admit it. Our worst critics are the ones we look at in the mirror every single morning. We are so hard on ourselves. We talk down on ourselves. Come on, am I the only one? We have these conversations in our head that tell us we're not enough. We can't do this. The odds are against us. Friends, some of my biggest battles in my mind took place in my car with nobody else in it. Listen to me. You got to practice self-compassion. You got to practice loving kindness for yourself. You need to remind yourself every day that God loves you and you love you some you. You just got to look in the mirror when you're done getting yourself dolled up. Man, when you're done shaving in the morning, you look at that mirror before you leave your house and don't wait for somebody else to compliment you. Look in the mirror and compliment yourself. Dang, I'm fine today. Whoa, I look good today. Because if you don't do it for yourself, you will find out you're going to look for it in other people. And you may just give other people the room that should have never had that if you would have said it to yourself at first. Fall in love with you. And then the last way to change my focus today is lighten up. In other words, don't take yourself so seriously. Have fun, laugh, live. As I said, distraction creates diversion, and diversion will rewrite a new version of who you were never meant to be. Do you believe that when Peter stepped out the boat, he was thinking about, wow, I am going to be known as the person who sank? No. When Peter stepped out the boat, he had the confidence that I'm going to be the only person in all of humanity that has ever done what's impossible and made it possible and walk on water. Peter never thought about the fact that I'm going to be known as a sinker or a swimmer. No. He had the confidence of stepping out that boat of saying, I'm going to be a water walker. But because of distraction and diversion, it tried to rewrite a new version of who he was never meant to be. Aren't you so glad that God has a way of taking that pen away from your adversary and not completing that story? It's what he did with Peter. Matter of fact, he did it on numerous occasions. He did it with Peter when he rescued him from sinking. He did it with Peter when Peter got a sword and struck the ear of a Roman soldier. You know the story. Jesus bent down, picked up the ear, and put it back on. I love the fact on how Jesus doesn't allow another version of a story to become our lives. Imagine if Jesus would have stopped and said, oh, I've given all these chances to Peter. Man, he sank. Man, he cut the ear of a soldier. He even told him he was going to deny him 3 times. And even when he did, when Jesus got out the tomb, he told the woman, take me to the disciples. Watch this. And Peter. And Peter. I'm going to say that again. And Peter. In other words, I'm not going to let the story of Peter end like this. He is too big. He has too big of plans. And Jesus has done the same for you. He is not going to let the enemy get the last script of your life. So to become a possibility thinker and put together a possibility thinking action plan, number 1, you got to change your focus. Number 2, you got to dream big. You got to dream big. A dream isn't just a picture of what could be. Listen to me. It's an appeal to our better selves, a call to become something more than who we are today. At the end of the day, ask yourself this question. What do you want to experience life? How do you want to experience life? Over the next 10 or 20 years, where do you want to be? If you can't see it, you're not dreaming big enough. If you can't see where you want to be 10 or 20 years from now, your dreams are too small. Another question is, what kind of things do you want to do? What kind of world do you want to create for yourself? God said, I made man in my image. And one of the likenesses of God, actually his first attribute that he introduced to us in Genesis 1 was that he's the God who creates, which means you are a recreated being, created to recreate. That God recreated your life. You became a new creation so that you can recreate. What kind of world do you want to recreate for yourself? Nobody holds that except yourself. That's your choice. The next question you got to ask yourself is, how do you want to make an impact? What do you want to be known for? When people say your name, what comes after it? Nobody has the right to create that kind of reputation except yourself. Listen, you're always going to be combating the opinions of others. I don't really pay attention to those naysayers because the truth is that they don't know me. But people who do, they'll say things like, Pastor Obed thinks the best of everyone. Man, Pastor Obed is a leader. Man, he's an influencer. I work hard on making sure I am building a life to help others fulfill their dreams. How do you want to be remembered? It's your choice. And then lastly, what kind of life do you want to look back on from your deathbed? Don't wait till you're sitting in your deathbed, sitting there going, man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done this. A few months ago, I was coached. Yeah, you heard me. I was coached into writing almost an obituary of my life. Like I actually took some time to write what I wanted my obituary to be. I never have showed my wife this, but it really dawned on me that after I was done, I looked at my life and I thought about how much was missing. I'm going to encourage you this weekend. Write out what you would want your life to look like at the end. And then ask yourself, what's missing from this? Friends, it's going to cause you to dream bigger. The third is avoid negative people. How I'm going to put possibility thinking into a plan of action is I got to avoid negative people. Here's 5 ways to remove negative people from your life. This is going to help a bunch of you guys on the real. The first is value yourself and all the hard work you're doing to reach your dreams. You can't expect people to respect you if you don't respect yourself. You can't expect people to value you if you don't value yourself. At the end of the day, you're either going to see yourself as a staircase or a mat. You're either going to see your life as somebody who can be used of God to help people up a staircase of success, or see no value in your life and just allow people to walk all over you like a mat. Nobody makes that choice but you. At the end of the day, value yourself. The second thing you do to remove negative people from your life is you straight up tell them that they're negative. I mean, you don't need to sugarcoat it. You just need to be like, hey, right now you're just a little bit negative. Obviously, do it in a polite way, but let them know. The third is talk to them in a public place. You know, anytime I know I'm going to have a hard conversation, and I know that it can flare up some emotions, I'm not going to do it in a private office. I'm going to do it in a public place. And the reason why I do that is, number one, accountability. Number two, it also reminds both of us that we're in a public place and we don't want to make a spectacle of it. The fourth is block them from social media. Man, listen, to get away from negative people, just block them. It's as easy as just block, block, block. And then lastly, don't bring them up anymore in a conversation. Listen, every time you bring up your past or you bring up negative people in a conversation, you are literally redigging what you just buried. Stop being a digger. And at the end of the day, keep it buried. Move on. If somebody wants to bring it up, you tell them, I don't have time to talk about it. I buried it. It's done. So the first thing I got to do is I got to change my focus. Number 2, I need to dream big. Number 3, I need to avoid negative people. Number 4, I need to read stories of inspiringly positive people. There's nothing better than to read about other people's dreams, other people's testimonies, other people's obstacles that brought forth incredible opportunities, and be inspired by it. Let me end this podcast and this weekend's on 3 tips to surround yourself with positive people. I told you how to get rid of negative. Let me give you 3 tips. Surrounding yourself with positive people. Number 1, believe in yourself. People can sense if you believe in yourself or not. As much as I believe in you, you should believe in yourself more. Number 2, forgive freely. Holding on to resentment towards yourself or others is negative energy. Stop punishing yourself. And then number 3, like attracts like. Remember that. It's a universal law. you only attract your kind. So if you want positive people in your life, it's going to take for you to be positive. If you want leadership in your life, it's going to take for you to be a leader. If you want to get away the craziness of life, get away, become a drama-free person. What you are is what you attract. And that's the 4 ways on how to put an action plan together to experience the possibilities. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. It is Friday. We are going into the weekend strong. I don't know about you, but I am thinking about possibilities all day. I'm excited for tomorrow. It's a prayer service for those of you that call Destiny. You're home. We'd love for you to see you in person. If not, you can join us online. And then this coming Sunday, I am going to be speaking a brand new series called Thy Kingdom Come. Listen, it is going to be incredible as we talk about kingdom dynamics. That you're a kingdom person and your life was built to have dominion and dominate, not to be dominated. And so it's going to be incredible. Those of you that may have another church, watch your church services, but you can always watch ours on an archive or join us later on in the day. It will bless your life. Hey, next week, I want to talk to you about something that is so dear to my heart, and that is I want to talk to you about time management. Because I want to leave you with this quote, and that is this: you don't make money until you actually make time. I'm going to say that again. You don't make money until you actually make time. And if you will learn how to master making time, you will have an unlimited supply of resources in your life. So next week's going to be incredible. Join me Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for Life and Leadership. Would you do me a favor today? You know it's always my privilege and honor to bring you the best content, but I would love for you, if you can go to our Spotify account, come on, give it a 5-star, write a review. It would surely help us, and subscribe to all of our platforms. And then lastly, just don't share it. I see a lot of you just put share. No, write something about it. Maybe write something you learned. Make it interesting for somebody else to watch it so that their lives will be changed as well. Well, until next week, I love you, and so does God. Be blessed, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today on the Obed Martinez Life and Leadership Podcast. If you would like to go deeper into today's teaching, you can do this by downloading the notes and the study guide at obedmartinez.co/notes. You can also sign up to get these sent directly to your inbox. But in the meantime, make sure you subscribe to this podcast, rate and review it on iTunes, and don't forget to share it with some friends on your social media. Once again, thank you for joining us weekly on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for Life and Leadership with Obed Martinez.